We love talking about the hard real estate deals you can come across in Louisiana. And there's not many areas in the United States where you're going to deal with an antebellum property with real eclectic, cultural, local vibes that you deal with in Louisiana in our area. And Kendra St. Pierre's first real estate transaction, she dealt with a very unique property in that way. If you want to hear how that transaction went and how it was able to impact the rest of her business, check out this conversation with Kendra St. Pierre. Let's talk a little bit about how you deal with difficult real estate transactions.
Okay.
And you had one that you wanted to talk about that you gave us in the notes. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Okay. And it wasn't really that it was so hard, but it was my first one. And it was an antebellum home on Main Street in Franklin, Louisiana, the cutest little town. And you've seen the pictures of the little lights down Main Street. It's on the National Historic
Just put it on Hallmark and
Registry.
Call it a day.
It is.
Right.
And so Franklin's a beautiful place. A good friend of mine was getting married, or maybe newly married, and they were interested in finding a home that was kind of antique. So they were looking in different areas. And his mom lived on the other side of the state, and her mom lived on this side of the state. So they picked a spot in the middle, and they chose Franklin. Well, I had lived there, and I had just gotten my real estate license. So she said, "Will you help us?" And I was like, "Yes, I would love to," because I have so many beautiful friends there. So we went down. The agency that had the listing is an agency that's been there probably since Scarlett O'Hara lived in the house. And it was the sons of the brokers that owned the house. Both mom and dad were brokers, had passed away. And the three broker sons were the people on the other side with this brand new agent.
Wow.
And so I did talk to my manager quite a bit.
Yeah,
and I mean, the inspection report was 70,000 pages long. I don't even know that they had electrical wiring. I mean, the house didn't have electricity back in the day.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
but it was beautiful. It's got a pool. It's got a pool house and pictures of movie stars that have been there. So it was pretty impressive. They had passed on one that what's his name? They make eggs, and Benedict. Benedict Arnold had been in one of the houses or something. And I'm like, this is crazy.
That is so cool.
Anyway,
Love
they
history.
ended up getting the house, and it is just beautiful, and they were happy. But it was the furniture had to be sold like through antique stores. It was
They did an estate sale as part of the closing, or did your client buy the furniture too?
there were a few things that they did purchase.
Gotcha.
But I mean, like, just one of the chandeliers was probably as big as our whole area here, and
Wow.
it was just
So cool.
So to write all that and make sure. When I went to go write this, my good friend Peggy came up, and she was a teacher by trade, and she walked up and she goes, "Girl, what you got?" Because she could just see. My eyes were like, "Oh, I don't know where to start."
Sure.
And she really helped me so much.
So were you having to negotiate the price of all those different items in the house too?
No. I sell real estate, and that is not real
Perfect
estate.
answer.
So no, I don't sell furniture or unattached items. So what I did do was I said, if y'all want to provide us with a list, and then my client can take a look at that, and that's going to be completely outside of this because
Gotcha.
I'm not a licensed furniture salesperson.
And most lenders are going to hesitate to want to finance a contract that
Absolutely.
has all those stipulations in it anyway. So you got to make sure you do it the right way,
Absolutely.
which is important. And yeah, that's we've had. You don't have as many of those over here. Most people are buying new homes and moving their furniture around, but we've got a couple of deals in New Orleans that we've done
Yes.
where I want to keep this piece of art, I want to sell this piece of furniture, and you got to do a separate bill of sale for those things, and you got to make sure that you keep that side buttoned up just as much as you keep the other
Or
side.
we try to
buttoned up.
convince them to do a separate bill of sale.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Because at the end
It's
of the day-
tricky.
yeah,
Yeah.
you want to document those things. You want to
Right.
give value to that because you get a basis in that, just like you get the basis in the house. And so all of that you got to kind of think about, and working in conjunction with a CPA and the attorney and the real estate agent to make sure that everybody's getting the right tax benefits for all these things is super important.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of moving parts with those transactions that have different type of elements going on
Yeah.
with it. It's not just somebody buying their house. They're buying a residence.
And that was one of the things that I really benefited from with Gardner and with Ladder and Bloom now, and with Compass. Like, there are these people around you. I don't know if I could have just gotten out and gone to work, hanging my shingle with, a very small place.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful. But I don't know that I needed the help. I
You need the
needed
resources.
I want to have that cushion to know that I'm doing the right thing. And
Yeah.
that's what I tell my clients. I might not know the answer, but I know somebody who knows the answer. And I don't mind telling them that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
There's a confidence in that. You know, I had a conversation with an attorney I was managing a long time ago, and his mindset was, I'm just going to tell him the answer that I think is the right answer, and then we're just going to kind of, I was like, no. If you, people respect the ability to say, this is different, this is difficult, this is different. I think I know the answer. Before I give it to you, I'm going to go verify. I have the right answer, and I'll come back and bring it to you.
absolutely.
They'll feel more confident. And then the way you come back in the room, whether you were right or not, you say, I was right. I just wanted to verify that I was right? They don't ever know if you were right or not. But you give them that so that they feel as though, I mean, but again,
I like that.
Yeah, having the confidence to say, I want to verify the answer before I give it to you is huge. People respect that. And having a brokerage that you can rely on to give you support and answer questions for you, because somebody else that you at Compass may never have dealt with an Antebellum home with a bunch of antique furniture. So you might be able to help somebody out with that in the future, and then somebody else who's done a commercial listing or something like that. You always can collaborate. And I get the question a lot, you know, should I join this brokerage? Should I join this team? And I can't answer that question unless you as an agent know what you need or what you're looking for. If you want that type of support, you need to know that, and you need to go to a place that's willing to give it to you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people just kind of they try to chase the newest shiny object, and they don't look at them. They don't have enough self-awareness to know what they need and enough awareness to know what they need to ask for.
Both of my managers knew real estate from being in utero, because Beverly Tynes is my manager now, and her dad was a broker, and her mom, I believe her mom was a broker as well. So they learned this. They know a lot of stuff. So just ask.
Yeah, it was a
They're
way of
happy to
life for
tell.
them.
Yeah. But and also having a team of people around you too, from
Absolutely.
your lender and your attorney and your insurance person, and again, knowing how to ask the right questions and making sure that your team's available to answer your questions is super important too.
Well, yeah, I don't know how many times Lauren's gotten a phone call or a text from me.
Never. What do you mean? You have all the answers, girl.
Love it.
Well, and the beauty of having a great team like we do is we have people that are doing the day-to-day tasks, and that's our job. I mean, my phone, you know how if you look on your call log, you got a certain number of phone numbers there. Like sometimes you can scroll a couple of days worth of calls. Mine fill up in one day because it's just, you know, people calling, asking questions. And my job is to help the deals get to the contract being signed. And then once they get in the queue, we've got people who manage those files. But
We like being the resource.
Yeah.
having the team
Y'all have been
available,
wonderful, actually.
we appreciate that. And we try really hard, if anything.
We try to return all the calls every day.
Yep. Whether it's it might be at 10:30 at night, but we try to return all the calls. Well, it sounds like at least that sounds like a fun deal in my opinion. I actually had a text message.
I just want to see the house.
Yeah,
I'm
no
I'm
kidding.
picturing it in my head. I love it all.
It's gorgeous.
Jason and I were blessed when we were building our house. There was a home in Pearl River that was being torn down. And so you've been in my house. You walk in the foyer, that chandelier that's hanging, and then my guest bath and that other mud rack area, that light fixture, all of those were true antique fixtures that I was able to pull out of that house before the estate sale came. And, you know, these antique stores bought up everything else. So I got that. I got this really old school couch, some chairs that were like out of the Roosevelt Hotel. From like, I don't even remember the decade, but way back when. And so it's just, all those things have history. And I just love being able to incorporate that, some local history into a new home. So like when you're talking like that, I'm like, oh, I wonder what was it.
Yeah.
Right. And then my dad said to our neighbor, she was getting ready to put her house on the market, and her husband had worked for Bow Brothers. So he had they had these beautiful pine floors throughout the home, and they had these beautiful mantelpieces, and they had gotten so many pieces from New Orleans, I guess, warehouses that were just it was just sitting there. And oh my gosh, to have that listing too, I was like, I don't know. I've been blessed.
There's something to say about those clients too who have those houses that have the antiques and all that stuff like that. It's a different level of negotiations because somebody who's coming into that house is probably wanting some of that stuff, and people who are moving out have some things. Like my mom, I know she buys really like a lot of antiques, and what she buys for this house goes with that house. You go buy another house, that furniture, even though it might fit perfectly in that spot, does not belong in the new house. Like she picked it out for that house. So then she's got the furniture in the old house. She's either negotiating the sale or she's hopefully
She's got really good taste.
Yeah.
I need somebody like
some
that
of her
in my
spaces,
house.
and I'm like, ooh, I love her style.
Every time and again, it's a certain type of client. My mom knows what she likes, and when she has a interior designer, like she uses them until
they kind of push her to do something that she doesn't want to do, and she moves on to the next person. And she does that with her agents and her builders and everybody else. And people can see that as difficult, but or if you like that type of work, you can understand that that person has their own taste and they have an opinion. And it's not like going to a first-time home buyer or somebody who's buying their second home, maybe even, that doesn't know what they like yet.
Right.
And you got to be able to work with those people in those unique situations. The house that we lived in Alexandria was a 120-year-old plantation house in the middle of town that was completely run down. My parents had to buy it, almost got the whole thing. It's one of those houses where you paint one side. By the time you finish, you got to start over and paint it again. And we lived there for 18 years, and she had all this antique furniture, and she added it onto the house, and it was pretty incredible
Beautiful
home. But again,
For all those boys,
she knows
she
what
made
she
that beautiful
likes.
home for these dirty boys.
trust me, you could lick the floor on that house. It was so clean, and she
That's
had us,
awesome.
she had us whipping into shape. But she she went through a couple people before she figured out who her landscaper was going to be and her insurance and her
Right.
real estate was going to be, because it took a lot to find the right person who
That's
understood
right.
what she wanted. And so those transactions, again, people can see that as difficult, but or it could be really fun. if
It
you
was
like the
really cool. And when you go into a house, it's really neat, regardless of the age. It's got a history. So
Yes.
to go in and just kind of look, and I wonder what they used to do with this room. You know, sometimes it's set up and sometimes it's not. Or, wow, look at the closet within the closet. Like,
Yep.
there's just different things about homes. And
Well, you're about to list another home in Old Town, and I remember when you helped them purchase it.
oh my gosh.
And I just think that home is the coolest.
well,
So we're about to
yes,
do
and
another
that
broker
one-
tour, and we did it when you.
This is the house they bought, not in Old
Okay,
Town.
'cause
So,
that house was
but-
cool,
Oh
though,
my
huh?
gosh,
Oh,
that
yes,
is
well,
the
that was when they
neatest.
sold
That
that
is the
one.
neatest floor plan
So cool.
that I've ever been around, and we think it might have been a home of ill repute. Is that what you would call it? It's very
Mhm.
close to the train tracks, and when they bought the house upstairs, there's like a seating area, which became a kid's playroom.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were 4 rooms, and each of them had a number on it. So
Mhm.
they were thinking maybe it was used other than a family home.
Nice.
But they used it as a
You
family
know.
home. And I mean, just the floor plan's
If
perfect
the
for a
walls
family,
could speak,
actually.
you know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
But it's so cool.
I
And such
know,
an
I
awesome family
know.
that grew up there, and you were able to sell that one. And again, you don't even know these details until you get to walk in these homes. And like you said, you immediately walk in, you're like, this is unique.
Yeah.
This is so unique,
It's
right in the heart of
different.
Old Town.
Yep.
So very cool. But yeah,
Also-
same couple. She's now
Yeah.
selling another home for them because she's that girl.
Do you market those properties different than another property?
No.
Yeah.
You can have actually our office manager was there one day when I was working the desk. I do work the desk occasionally, not as often anymore, but usually about once a month at least. And she said one day, I was talking to a lady. She goes, "That was a lease client, wasn't it?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Kendra, you talk to every single person as if they have a $5 million property."
Mhm.
And it's true, because it is their $5 million property. Like, your mom knew what she liked. Everybody does, and everybody needs shelter, you
Mhm.
know? So it's, I don't know. I get a little emotional because everybody needs a home, a safe place, and a comfortable place to be.
They
And-
deserve that. That's
and we
great.
can help people. But
I
it
love
is
it.
really fun to have, a 17
unique ones,
bedroom
yeah.
place on Main Street.
Yeah,
But
for sure.